So what is up, everybody? We're going to be taking this video a different route from our normal postings here on YouTube. This time we're going to be covering a swing list for the month of April. Some of the topics we're going to be covering over here on the left are our list for the month of April, what is moving these stocks, and some important tips that we think you need to know. So part of the reason why it's taken so long to make this video is just the other day I posted on Webull a few tips that I thought were worth mentioning. Obviously, it was very receptive to the Webull community. A lot of people really found this very useful and wanted me to elaborate in this video on what I was meaning in that post. So if you want, pause this video, check out this little bit over here on the left. Go check out the community post that we have or the post on Webull so that you can kind of follow along with what we're talking about here. All right, so first up we have ANGH, and as you noticed, as soon as this news broke, ANGH decided it was going to go ahead and start peaking above that 20 MA line that you see shaded in white. That first big candle closing above the MA is a very good indication that this is a bullish move here, and if you had simply bought after seeing that large 4-hour candle closing above the MA, you could have sat at a pretty staunch gain even still, could have even sold somewhere in the high 15s. Now, this is looking to gain a bit of support and consolidate above this moving average, so that's kind of what I'm watching for here. If this does not hold for the day today, I may look to wait and see if we can get in a little bit cheaper, but this is going to be a long-term play for the month of April, for sure. All right, so ALLG looks like it is getting ready to come break back into that horizontal channel that we have been watching pretty well for the last couple of weeks. Now, with news like this over here, I expect there to be some more partnerships announced. I expect them to announce some more expansions for their EV charging stations in Europe, especially at such a time of need. And with such a cool off after seeing those nice highs somewhere around the $28 range, I think we've possibly cooled off well enough to start seeing this uptrend really get a little bit more aggressive going on for the month of April. All right, now we have a small biopharmaceutical company called Adagio Therapeutics, which has some very good preliminary data coming out for a new monoclonal antibody treatment for COVID-19. After the news broke, this ran over 100% before giving back once again almost all of its gains. Now, this is something that I look as a strong suit to get in because if you're like me, you might not have had time that day to get in on this stock. However, the news is still there, the data is still good, and it's looking at a very good price for the month of April. Real quick, I want to pause just for a second and kind of show what it means to use the VWAP as an indicator for price strength. So for the day of Wednesday, we saw lows of 389 below the VWAP before aggressively breaking above the VWAP midday, hitting highs as high as 417, leading into after hours. So as you see, going into after hours, it was above the VWAP, obviously, breaking pretty strongly to the upside, but it consolidated above the VWAP. And to me, that's the most important thing when you're using the VWAP as an indicator, because you want to be above that line. You want to be above the VWAP if you're looking for a bullish case scenario. If you're below the VWAP, you're going to see your first level of resistance most of the time somewhere along that VWAP line. So if you're breaking aggressively below the VWAP, you're going to want to look for a bounce before you think about using the VWAP as resistance, and before you think about breaking beyond the VWAP, you're going to need to test it a couple times, right? You're going to need to break through it and then come back down, maybe bounce off of it once, maybe twice, just to kind of prove that, yeah, the VWAP is holding support. So when the VWAP is pretty good ways below the price, it's a good indication that you have some room to work with, because that tells you the volume weighted average price. That's what VWAP means. So knowing what the volume weighted average price is for the day is very important, especially whenever you know what direction the stock is headed, using the VWAP as a fundamental indicator. Now, there's many different indicators to use. VWAP, MACD, MA, those are my top 3 indicators. I also do use Bollinger Bands. That's a little bit more complex for those of you who may be just getting familiar with the VWAP, MACD, and the MA. So maybe that'll be another video. If you're interested in learning about those, let me know. We can go ahead and keep moving on this list. All right, we got GFA again. The reason why we have GFA for the month of April is because this news of a direct offering to institutions exclusively at an average price of $115 per share sent the price tanking down to around $115 per share. This happens almost every time with offerings, whether it be direct or public. There is a big difference. Public offerings usually mean dilution, usually means at a major discount, and usually means the company is desperate. With a direct offering, it means that institutional investors proposed a deal. They wanted in on this company. They are the only ones who are getting in, and they're going to be holding long term, which means that there's not going to be much dilution coming from this. With the average price being around the closing price, this is definitely a long term play, in my opinion, because finally you have the moment to get in at a price with the institutional investors, where you're aware that, hey, the price is this price currently, and that's how much the big guys are in. I'm right there with them, so it's like 115, that's not too bad, right? So a big dip like this, I think that this is going to recover pretty well over the next week, but I think that it's going to see some pretty good recovery for the month of April in totality. Somebody asked what I thought about G&W, and I looked into the company and found some things that I really liked, so they wound up on the list for stocks worth swinging for the month of April, and the reason why is this is a very stable long-term care service providing company, which over the last quarter has traded in a very consistent channel. Now, it looks like we're at a bottom, consolidating here at what appears to be somewhat of a loading zone. This can kind of be determined to some degree from that nice solid peak that we have there. Not the wick of the candle, but the actual candle itself, the body of the candle, is what I base my interpretations of price action off of, especially over a long chart like this. So I think that we're kind of getting to that slow and steady creep to the upside kind of scenario that we have seen for a lot of the long-term plays that we've covered before. So I think this one also is worth adding to your list. Whoever mentioned that, I'll comment to you directly, but definitely good pointing that one out. And next we have Clever Leaves Holdings. This is a good, strong little cannabis company operating here in the United States and reacting pretty well to U.S. cannabis legislation. Now it's inching a little bit closer this time, so there's a lot more sentiment behind it, and especially since such a horrendous IPO for cannabis stocks following 2019. I think that these companies are going to start ebbing and flowing to the upside more consistently, reaching higher highs and higher lows, especially considering the fact that this company in particular operates in many states. It's extremely strategic, also extremely small, and it's well rooted should legality actually happen. It's unlikely, but it's getting closer, so the high sentiment definitely drives the price with companies like this. So I'm favoriting this one for the month of April, and this definitely is going to wind up being one of my favorite cannabis plays. Should anything else happen, I'll update you on that, but for now, that's just where I stand. So we'll go ahead and keep moving forward, but that's what I think about Clever Leaves. All right, last on the list, we have Jumia, and this German-based technology company here has been announcing a lot of good PR recently, most notably its partnership with UPS to expand its services into Africa. Now, they've been focusing on Africa a lot lately. The reason why is because it's a very niche market. There's a very big population which still lives in third world conditions, and there are a lot of logistics problems that need solutions. So it's a good reason to be paying attention to this company here, as large magnitude partnerships like this probably mean that I would imagine there's more companies that are interested in doing quite the same. So there's a lot of delivery companies, and they operate in all areas of the world. Jumia is focusing on logistics solutions in Africa, so it only makes sense that other companies that want to penetrate that space are going to start hitting this company up. So if you see all these little circles and stuff here, you may be wondering what's going on, why are they there, all that kind of mess. But the reason why is because I'm kind of giving an example here as to how to trade based on the MA. So as you see the first circle there is a green candle that closed above the MA. I view that as a buy signal. I would have sold at the first close below the MA with that first red arrow that you see down there. And you could have actually, bought again. You could have bought even for the first time at the candle that you see closing above the MA right there. That next candle that you see closing before it rode up to 1253. I wouldn't even wait for it to cross back below the MA when it hits a price that high. If it overshoots, sell as quick as you can. Take that profit, and you're going to see it come back down to the mean. Yeah, it can always go higher, but odds are it's going to come low first before it goes higher. That's typically the story that you're going to see in most cases here. So I think that we possibly cooled off a lot on this one. I think that we can be consolidating down here for the rest of the day, maybe find a good entry in this company for sometime this week, and to hold it, potentially for, maybe a week, 2 weeks, or potentially the end of April, depending on what happens and where we see this price action heading for the rest of this month. And that about wraps things up. So sorry if you've been waiting for this video tonight. I did mention that it was going to be a while, but it is finally done. So I'm happy that we're through with this and we can get it out there so that you can start seeing it and find these good opportunities that we have for you for this month. So if you found this video to be useful, please do give it a thumbs up. It really does help us a lot because this helps us get a broader reach and helps move us up in the algorithms on YouTube. If you like this type of content, please do subscribe to our channel as well. You will be seeing more in the coming days, and turn the notifications on if you would like to not miss a future video.